Gates Jr. reloading. Just thought I would record another loading video. You guys seem to appreciate that, and I don't mind doing it. So right now, just in the stage, obviously, of loading the primers here. These are CCI 500 small pistol primers. And it's going to be loading my 9mm. So let me get these loaded up and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I got the primers loaded into the primer tube right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set this up here, pull the pin. Now what I like to do, give it a few taps just to make sure. And then the best way I found is you just hold it up to the light, take a look and make sure it's clean, which that is, and we put it back up here in the rack. So that's how we do that. You know, it's funny when you're doing these videos, you're trying to be conscientious about what you're doing when you're doing it, so on. Make sure that's all working, which obviously it is. I usually give it a little tap like this, just to make sure things are settled. The next thing I like to do is we're going to move down into a different view on the press area, and we're going to start getting this thing hamming and jamming. All right guys, hold tight. Okay guys, thought, you know, might as well let them see me loading up the powder here too while we're at it. Little tight group is what I like to use. And I pour enough in here that I'll have a little extra, about like that for 100. And then I like to tap it out and make sure it's all unified. I'll tell you, you learn so much watching other guys on YouTube videos. 76 Highboy, call out to you. I've watched so many of your videos. You're such a good guy, and you deserve everything you have. You're just a quality kind of guy. And I have learned a ton from watching you, so I appreciate that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to check some powder drops, and let's get you into a different view. All right, now let's turn on the case feeder here. I'm going to usually just drop one down so that I can work with it. So as soon as I see one drop, I'll shut it off. Okay, so we got one down. And what I'm going to do is double check everything. Looks good. And let's come up here. All right. Let's go through the sizing die. And now let's go over here. And just make sure we got a primer, which we do right there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to remove this pin and from station 3, And, whoops, sorry, my bad. We're going to go to station 2, rather. And we're going to come up and grab this powder drop, flare the case, and we're going to come over and we're going to now check the load. So let's set the tare on this. There we go. And now I'm going to weigh this. And it's exactly where I would expect it to be. Just like that. Exactly. Now, what I do, guys, is I keep an empty 9mm to test this. So I go ahead and flare it, and then I'm gonna measure the flare as well, and then check the powder drop all at the same time before I proceed. So let's move on to that step. All right, so the proper way to do this is, we're at 0. Let's measure it prior to flaring it. And 375. So if I add at least 12, that's going to put me at come on, 87, 387, at least 12, because these are plated. So let's see where we're at here. Now I'm going to flare it up and drop the powder. And then I'm going to pull it out and get rid of the powder here. Sorry guys, you can't see this, but you'll get the idea. So now we should be around 387 or a little better. So there you go. 388. That looks about right. 389. I think it's, let's get it in there, 389. So maybe 14. I'll live with that. A little much ain't gonna bother me. Okay, let's move on to the next step. All right, so let's bring it up. And then what I'm going to do is make sure my powder cap is set correctly here, which it is. It's not alarming. Okay, we're gonna move to the bullet seating station. And I'm going to follow this up to make sure it has the best chance of getting in there straight. And let's measure that before we crimp it. Let's see where we're at here. Let's make sure that we're starting out at 0, which we are. And let's see where we're at here. 1.1475, around there. 1.15, that's kind of where I wanted it to be. Yeah, right around in there. Okay, so I'm okay with that. And now let's go ahead and crimp it. I'm going to go ahead and put the button back in there to make sure it doesn't move in the crimp process. And out she goes. First completed round. And there it is. All right, so now again, what I like to do is just make sure here that everything is where it needs to be. So we will remeasure everything. And you can see that should be, sorry for the bumping, right about 1.15, right there where I wanted it. Indeed. Okay. Now, let's check it with the case gauge, which is the next step. Okay. Good old Ellie Wilson. So you guys are seeing this with me. I haven't like prepped this or anything. Let's oof, look at that. You gotta love that, right? And the overall length that we know is shorter than it needs to be. And again, look at that, isn't that pretty? So that is the final step. Now everything looks great right there. So we know everything went fine. So now we're going to start some production. Okay, so we're loading some cases up here in the case feeder. And we are going to start production on the 9mm. I'm going to shout out to my buddies on 76 High Boys Forum. One of the gentlemen said, you know, I was having a little problem with 9mm consistency. Maybe out of 100 I'd have, I don't know, like 4 or 5 or something that just weren't seeming to drop correctly on the case gauge, even though they'd load in the chamber of my gun in the barrel. And he said, you know, maybe it's not being seated straight. And I had a tendency to just set the bullet on there and pull the arm up here, and I noticed some guys holding it. So what we're going to do here, you guys are going to watch it with me for a bit. I'm going to follow the lead of the other guys. Obviously they do it for a reason, and hold these up and help guide them in, and we'll see if the consistency goes up. So that's where I'm at. So let's give her a shot here, and let's start moving up into this whole process here. And let's see where we're at, guys. Okay. And let's see how we do here. Now you'll notice that everything is, looks like we have a little case movement there. Let's move this up here. And again, I'm going to try to help feed these in as we go. Now this alarm is going to go off because I had a case that was kind of hanging. That's okay, it's just an empty spot. It will get over it here in a minute. There's no race here, guys. I'm not in a big hurry. I'm just going to, it looks like our cases are coming through fine now. I'm going to take my time with this, and it's more important for me, instead of monkeying with things, to make sure the consistency of my nines and the bullets and everything are being seated correctly. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not off into a big race. I'm just going to take my time with this and see if in fact this helps with the consistency of everything. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to test some of these here that we just did, and I'll let you watch it with me. So here we go. Let's take the first one here and drop it in there. And that right there looks perfect to me. I like it. All right, so we know that one's good. Let's check some of the other ones we did here. Look at that. Man, I'm telling you what, these guys know what they're talking about. Because so far, we're getting some, this is how I would expect things to move, right? Consistent. Look at that. That's awesome. Just holding that bullet and helping it up, it appears to me that that could have just helped with all this. Now again, I've done a few here, but I mean, so far everything's beautiful right now. So let's continue on to the production here of these, but man, that's looking good. Just by holding that, look at that. That is just working out great. Okay, so I have done 7. Let's do another one. This will be 8 in a row with no issues whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, might as well do the other 2. Look at that. That is just awesome. That's what I want. That's what I expect. Look at that. Just perfect. Okay, so we've got our 10 here that are our yummy 9mm. So let's put those back and let's continue on. Let's get this thing moving. All right, rocking and rolling, as they say. And again, guys, this is not a race. Some of these guys I see that just fly, right? And maybe they can do that and get away with it. But I can tell you right now, for me, just slowing down a little and kind of taking my time with this and helping these get seated straight and guiding them up like that. If I keep getting consistency like I'm getting, shoot, I'll do this all day if I have to. Because again, it's worth it to me not to monkey around with these cases and inconsistencies in the bullets. So if this is what needs to happen and it gives me the results I'm looking for, I'm good with that. Good. One thing I'm noticing, I don't know if this, yeah, they get sometimes, I wonder if this is kind of pushed up here a little bit. They're catching on that, the cases are, so I think we'll get beyond that here. No problem. And again, I don't mind little hiccups like that where the cases might get a little bit hung up on the edge over there, or what have you. I mean, these are the things that are going to happen once in a while. And maybe there's a slight adjustment I can make over there. But again, this thing is so steady and reliable. It's ridiculous. And it does look like there is a small adjustment I might need to make over there, because it does appear that some of these now it almost feels like, did this move? Is that what's happening? Alright, hold on. Oh, there it is. Alright, so I think I figured out what happened there. When I put the cover on this, I swung the case feeder just enough where it wasn't lining up that tube correctly with the drop. So I just moved the case feeder. I swung it that way a little bit, and let's see if that'll help here. With the consistency of this. And again, I'm not in a race. Not in a race. I'm just taking my time here. And we'll see what happens. But it does appear that that was the case. No pun intended. Alright. Everything seems to be moving along here. And I like to not edit things like that so you guys can see what you could run into. It's like, hey, you put the cover on last night, and you happen to move or just slightly rotate that case feeder enough where the tube wasn't lining up all the way, and they were getting kind of hung up there. So you can see now they're moving right along here. One thing that's important also is to make sure you got full motion for up and down, okay? Because your amount of flare, crimp, everything the way you have it set up is based on those movements. So you can't all of a sudden not do a complete handle up or down on the press. And when you stop like I'm doing right now, you always want to stop with the push up. Okay, we're going to load some more bullets here. I need to open up a new case because the last one we just went through there, I think we're done here. So let me get this open here. Sorry, you guys, that you're not able to see this, but I need to get this open. Okay, so here you go. Nice, pretty. Look at that. Oh, I tell you, I don't know. I'm like a little kid sometimes with this stuff. I get all excited about this. It's like a kid in a candy store, right? And so it's like, ooh. Aren't those pretty? All right, so let's continue on here. And again, don't know for sure where you left off. What do I do first? push up, push up. Seat, guide up. Again, full movements. And then you always want to make sure that you're consistent with everything that you do. If you want consistent loads, you have to be consistent. And what you're seeing for me is I'm sort of developing that, right? Through guys' advice and different things. But I promise you this, just like this session, once I get it to where it's exactly where I want it, I've learned a new behavior, and I'm going to implement that so that I have that consistency, just like holding these, so on and so forth. Okay, I don't want to keep boring you with the loading, so let me get back to you once we get these done, and we'll go through the case gauge together, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's check these out, guys. Let's go through the first one here. And there she is. It's all pretty. Now, once in a while, you'll notice you'll get a little like that. You saw me. I had to push it a little. You'll see a little burr or something, but it falls right out, so that one's good. And again, let's check these. Look at that. It's just pretty. It falls right out. So far, I'm going to go through all of these. I'm not going to bore you guys watching the whole thing, but I'm going to see where my consistency is at now. And I'll let you know. There we go. So far, so good. And I will I'll update you after I get through them all. So hang tight. All right, so the last step, let's check it. The barrel from my 9mm. And let's put these over here. You guys can kind of see them here. And let's just see. Oof. Do you hear that? That sound is just something, isn't it? They call that the plunk test. Oh, man, you can just hear that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Let's pick a random one here. I don't know. Look at that. See where that sits? Right there. And I can turn it. So that is perfect. These are perfect. Hear that? Man, that's a neat little sound, isn't it? Let's try another one. Oh. I know, I get excited over these little things. It's funny. Another random one. Oh. So yes, I did check all these with the case gauge, and guess what? Consistency pays off, guys. Process consistency. Holding the bullet. When you're seating it. Guiding it up. So this is good. You're seeing what I'm seeing. Look at that. That sound is just something, isn't it? I'm like a little kid. Oh. That is just... that sound. Something about that. Makes me want to go to the range. Okay. Successful. There it is. Ooh. All right, guys. I'll let you go and quit playing around here. Thanks for watching. God bless you and your family. Please subscribe and leave any comments or suggestions. Thank you.